Hey, my friends, how are we today? So, on today's podcast, I have Adam Zuckerman. He is the founder of Buried in Work. He is a previous attorney, MBA, businessman, all the things. I'm going to let him kind of introduce himself, but we're going to talk about estate planning today and how he's been able to use his brilliance to be able to provide service to the world. So, thanks Adam for coming on and having a conversation today.
Aaron, great to be here. I need to hire you to do all my PR. I'm still an attorney. I'm just not like actively practicing. So barred in DC, passed the Illinois bar, went to law school, that whole bit. But I found out that by helping people organize their information as it relates to estate planning, getting all of their information in order, and then shipping them off to other providers that help them, it's worked out a little bit better for everybody. So glad to
Yeah.
be here.
Yeah. So, let's dive in quickly, briefly. Like, tell us what, I mean, we both come from a financial and
hmm
yeah, attorney background. So it's like we know what estate planning is and what they do, but like tell the audience like what is it? What do they do? What do they not do? Things of that sort.
So typically, when people talk about estate planning, it's the transition of their assets after somebody dies. Pretty morbid topic, can be actually pretty interesting to talk about. And they go to estate planning attorneys to help them organize the information and simplify that process for them. So it could be creating estate plans, and we can talk about what that means. It's advising on asset protection, it could be tax planning, trust administration. It can be helping with the probate process after somebody passes away. A lot of people don't realize that on average, it takes 570 hours or more in the United States to administer an estate after someone dies, which is a lot of time that not a lot of people have. It could be helping with healthcare or advanced directives. It could be updating estate plans from somebody else, or if you bought them online or did it yourself. Charitable planning as well. And then a whole host of other things when you have a business underneath you. So, business succession planning too. It also is parallel to family law.
Mhm.
So, maybe you have one marriage, maybe you have three kids, maybe you've adopted. So, there's a lot of different things that estate planning attorneys help with. And that's relating to that transition of the estate. But the entire process, comprehensive estate planning, is so much more than that which you have to use an attorney for. It's organizing all of your information, it's end of life plans, is what do you want to have happen to you if you can't advocate for yourself. Uh, so
Yeah.
lots to discuss.
It's like the estate I view the estate attorney as like almost like the end of the end of the stop after you've already had these thoughts and
Mhm.
conversations and thinking, pondering about this stuff. It's like, yes, they're there to help you go through this, but like you've got to kind of be clear on what you want. And I don't think a lot of us, one, because like you said, maybe it's morbid. I think the Western society thinks very differently about death than a lot of the world does. So we don't want to think about it, but like we all are going to die, and it's part of it. And so we avoid that, but we don't spend much time thinking about like, well, how do I want what do I want my legacy to look like? And not just from a financial standpoint, but like how do I want things to pass on and you know and make it easy for my family members, right?
Well, some
At,
people want to make it easier on their family members. That's the hope.
I
Yeah.
I I hope all of my listeners want to make it easy on their family members,
Yeah,
okay?
that's the hope. You'd be surprised. Sometimes there's actually someone we're spinning up a podcast right now, and we are in discussions with someone who is paid to go to funerals to talk to people that go to the funerals to give end of life messages that the person didn't want to tell them to their face. So
Oh,
there's
smart.
some really interesting tangents that are involved. But yes, your listeners are phenomenal. Nobody wants to make it hard on anybody. It's hunky dory for everyone. I mean, everybody has baggage.
No,
Uh,
I think most I think I don't think anyone intentionally wants to. I think
mhm,
we avoid things, right? And
yeah.
then by default that does make it. So, can we talk a little bit about your company, what you do, because when you and I talked before the podcast I was like, "Holy smokes, Adam, like this is incredible." So,
Yeah. Okay.
tell the listeners what you
Okay.
thought of, how you even got to that point and then what you've created.
All right. So I'm going to answer your first question, which was when do attorneys typically get involved? And
Yeah.
the answer is there is no specific formula of when they get involved.
Yeah.
Some people, if you want to take running as an analogy or sports, it's they want to take up running first and then they join a running club and then they get a coach and suddenly they're world class sprinters. Other people go straight to a coach because they know that they need help with it and they're not going to get motivated on their own without somebody that's helping them right from the get go.
Yeah.
So there isn't a one size fits all solution for everybody. It's a question of what fits for you based on your situation. And that estate plan that you create, it has to be for today with the understanding that something could happen to you tomorrow, but you also have to go back to it over time to keep it updated because where you are in a decade from now is going to be very different from where you are today. So those are the
Yeah.
prime tenets there. Engage an attorney when you think you need to, and if you don't know, you might want to talk to one because they'll help you figure out what you don't know. There's a lot of the known knowns, the known unknowns, and the unknown unknowns. That third category is why attorneys are especially helpful. They'll train for it. All right. So buried in work. Like you said, I've got a weird background. I'm an attorney. I have an MBA. I've worked in big companies and little companies. Um, my father was at my house and we were doing some woodworking in the basement. And he walked up the stairs and he said, Adam, I'm tired. And Erin, if you say I'm tired, your husband says he's tired, I say I'm tired, typically what that means is I need to go and take a nap.
Yeah.
When my dad says it, it means I need to go to the doctor. And the reason why is 6.5 years prior, he was diagnosed for the first time with leukemia, so blood cancer.
Okay.
And for him to complain saying he's tired, it means that something's actually kind of wrong. He's not feeling good. Shouldn't get out of breath walking up the stairs like that. So he goes to the doctor's office and he checks in, and then they do some testing and they say, okay, come to the hospital on Thursday. We're checking you in. And 12 days later, he passed away. So far too quick. There's some good things that happened. And he was around
Yeah.
for 6.5 years. I donated a really personal experience, and he got to meet my nieces and my nephews and build a relationship with them as they were little, which is great.
Yeah.
We got to say goodbye, which is a gift that a lot of people don't have that opportunity for people if they die in their sleep, for example. Well, after he passed away, I was the executor in the will. My mom was still around, and I helped her transition assets and get the estate and the affairs in order. My sisters did a lot too. But I was very diligent in taking notes of everything I was doing. Literally, I called this person for this reason. This is where I thought to call them and why. And when I showed my mom's financial planner what was going on and what I was working on, they said it was the most comprehensive transition they've ever seen in their life, and I had to give it away to other people. On the one hand, and I know that we're a little bit friendlier here than some other podcasts, I was like, yeah, in my head, you're full of shit. And the reason why I was thinking that, I was like, it's really nice that you're saying that, but you just don't want me to move my mom's, funds to another
Money.
broker. Yeah. And on the other hand, the two birds on your shoulders, the devil and the angel. The angel's going, no, Adam, you're pretty organized. Like you did pretty good work here.
Yeah.
Talk to some other people. So I listened to the angel, put the devil in the pocket. That flick on your shoulder and it disappears in poof land. And I showed it to some friends. I showed it to some of my mom's friends, and they said, absolutely, Adam, this information is really well done. Take your mom's information out, summarize what you did, and put it online. So I made a quick website. I'm a technologist in some respects. And I posted to 3 social media sites, LinkedIn, Facebook, Nextdoor. And in a week, we had over 10,000 visitors to the website, which is crazy. And from there, Buried in Work was born. We thought it was going to be a small website with just a little bit of information, and since then, it's expanded to more than 1,700 articles. It has nearly 40 checklists and guides for free. It has directories for service providers like attorneys and cemeteries, funeral home, hospice care. It has products like the estate preparation package that has been described by another company that is the most comprehensive solution on the market to help people organize their information. We can talk about that. We have card games, which I have absolutely fallen in love with. One's called One More Story. So if you're watching the video here, One More
Yeah.
Story. This card is in the family and traditions. I just picked a random one off the deck. What is your earliest childhood memory? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we created these. So instead of staring at your cell phone when you're in a hospital or you're on with family, you have something to talk about, and you can actually connect and get those stories out of people before they're gone. And what we found is that it's amazing. People are buying these card games and they're using them on dates.
I was
And
gonna
they're
say
going,
it's like a get to know each other, not
it
necessarily. Yeah, I mean,
is.
you're saying dates, but like your family, right? Like you, we've lost that sense of connection and asking those questions with our family, and the ages of like my kid, like she doesn't, I mean, her great grandfather just passed away last year, but like I asked those questions. And so it's like we're getting further and further from those storytelling,
Mhm. Exactly right. And that's why it's called One More Story. The
Yeah.
goal isn't to get through the deck. The goal is rather to see where the conversation takes you. So I'm going to play one with you right now. This is family and traditions also. Erin, what was your most memorable birthday or milestone celebration?
Oh, Memorable, I don't know, but I remember I see pictures of, like, swimming, like, we had a swimming party, and I love the pool, I love water. What about
Okay.
you?
Um, ooh, the one that popped into my head, I was super little. I grew up in Washington, D.C. area in Maryland. And my mom somehow contacted the Washington Capitals, the hockey team, and we got 25 free tickets, 25 free hot dogs, and 25 free Cokes. And we had a row of seats for me and my little friends at the top of the
That's so
stadium.
fun.
And I think it was like anybody at the time could apply in and get it. But I don't know why that's the silly
Mhm,
experience for me.
yeah.
All right, so good memories. So that's one more story. We created a game, Nothing Left Unsaid, that's being used by attorneys as gifts, by hospice companies, nursing homes. Like these are great for activity rooms, road trips, where it's do you have a will? Do you have a trust? Do you have hidden valuables? Where are they? Who helped you with your information? How do you feel about palliative care, hospice care in the event certain circumstances happen? So this is like the estate preparation package on speed dial.
Mhm.
Uh, we have content for businesses. We've got ID cards, fridge magnets with emergency contact information. And every single day, things just keep increasing as more people get involved and we partner with more organizations. So, Buried in Work is turning into what some people are calling the Knot, which is the wedding planning website
Yeah.
for
Mhm.
estate planning and end of life tasks. And the caveat is that we won't make your will, we won't make your trust. We'll help you get organized. You'll understand what needs to happen. So you'll follow our checklists and you're the 56 things you want to do after somebody passes away. So
Yeah.
it is easier on you. You're not learning when things are tough, and you'll save money with your attorneys and your service providers because you'll have everything in one place and they can serve you a little bit better because they know what you need.
It's so brilliant, and it's so like you say, like your mom's financial planner said, it's so thorough because like you said already, it's like we don't know the question if you're not in the
Mhm.
arena, right? Like you don't know the questions to ask. And so it's not I don't think it's ever from a typically it's not from a place of I mean there is the resistance, right? Of like, hey, I'm going to die at some point. But like it's not typically from a place of like I don't want to. It's just like I don't even know the questions to ask to even get started, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, we created a quiz for that reason. So a lot of people said, "Mom and Dad don't want to talk to me," or "How do I bring this up? How organized are we?" There's a free quiz. It takes 2.5 minutes. That helps you figure out how organized you actually are. If you were to die for your estate, or if your parents were to pass away, or someone else that you might be involved with. And what we're finding is that most people that take this quiz are getting between a 2 and a 4 on a scale of 10. Some people are
Wow.
getting an 8 and 9 out of 10, which is great. And
Yeah.
yes, that's wonderful. We want that.
Yeah.
But only one third of Americans even have a will, which is
Wow.
funny because 100% of Americans actually have an estate plan.
Yeah.
So
They just
it's
don't
kind
think
of
they do.
That's exactly right. So if you die without a will, you have an estate plan and it's called intestate, and the government is going to dictate how your estate is processed.
Yeah.
So if you want to take control and actually make things simpler on everybody, go take the quiz, figure out how organized you are, and at least bare minimum, get a will in place.
Yeah. And estate plan doesn't mean I mean it does, right? At the time of death, but it also means like power of attorney, medical power of attorney, like,
Mhm.
if you were to be incapacitated and you're a single mom, like who's going to take care of your kids and like all of that living stuff, like it's living and it's at death
Yeah.
as well. Is that a good way to to
Yeah,
explain it?
that's exactly right. So an estate plan is to take you from where you are today to when you are passed away and all of your assets have been distributed to someone else. So it doesn't matter if it is 10 years before when you pass away, you should have an estate plan in place because you could be incapacitated. Who do you want to have advocate for you? Who do you want to be able to take control of your finances if somebody needs to? Who do you want to have make those medical decisions for you? If you are by a hospital that is religious and you are not religious, do you want to have a document in place that says, if you will not do this specific surgery for me because your religious hospital doesn't do this, I'd like you to transfer me somewhere else?
Yeah.
There's so many different things that come into play that before I was in this industry, before it was explained to me or I learned it, researching and through the different, experiences that I've had as things have developed, I would have no idea this is important. Um, I think we may have mentioned this on one of our previous conversations. There was an individual that I was helping in Virginia. He was married and had two kids, and he got a divorce and he updated his will. So his will says that 50% of his assets go to one kid, 50% goes to the other kid in case something were to happen to him. And we started talking about payable and death beneficiaries on his bank accounts. And he didn't update them from his ex-wife. And he didn't realize that those, if you have a bank account,
They
account
follow it.
policy, insurance,
Bypasses the will.
it bypasses. It's contractual. It happens before the will.
Yep.
So his ex-wife, unless she wanted to redistribute, she'd get all the cash in those bank accounts. And there's so many silly little things like that
Yeah.
that matter. They're not silly, but they matter and they're small. That unless somebody points that out to you, you're not going to notice it.
And what I have found is a lot of financial institutions don't know about it or they aren't savvy with it. And I mean
Mhm.
this from the most loving space, but like your banker, unless they are pretty established from a financial
Mhm.
awareness standpoint and they know those things, they aren't. Like I've had to say no, like I think it was Fidelity. I was like, no, this exists. You need to call whoever you need to call and you need to tell them that there is, transfer on death or joint right,
Mhm.
with survivorship or whatever it was, like whatever language, right? And everybody has different language. And so it's like a lot of times people, here we go, you do as the client or consumer, you don't even know the questions to ask. Then you're working with people in financial institutions that may not be aware. So
Mhm.
it's like,
Under our resources tab on the website, there's a link that says "Ask 3 questions," and we have a free form that people can download.
yep,
It has 3 specific questions that you should ask and write down for every single one of your accounts, and the reason why. The first one is, what will happen to this account and/or policy when I pass away? The second question is, who is authorized to access and communicate with the institution regarding this account or policy when I pass away? Because they won't just talk to anybody.
nope.
You you have to have letters of administration, or they have to have a form on file beforehand. And for
Yep.
letters of administration, you have to have a death certificate. Like, it's a whole thing. And third, what benefits or entitlements will be available to my designated beneficiaries when I pass away? So it's that 3 question grouping, and there's a form you can download to fill this out. Will get you confidence of you know exactly what will happen, and it'll also give your heirs, your loved ones, whoever is dealing with all the stuff, the answers they need to actually transition and access those accounts quickly. And it's important because the little things here matter. Erin, you and I are married right now. You are the head of the household when it comes to finances, and you have taken out all of our credit cards. Thank you very much for managing that. I am secondary on the account. Unfortunately, you went bike riding, mountain biking, let's say, hypothetically, down a slope at a ski thing in the summertime. Your bike flips
Adam
over and
has
you die.
no idea what happened with my husband 2 weeks ago.
All right. So there's a story here. Your face is getting red. So that happens. You pass away. I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
What happens then is that I lose all of my credit cards as your spouse and secondary account holder. So suddenly I have no credit cards. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that you have a credit card in your name and I have at least one credit card in my name. So in the event something were to happen to us and we want access to credit, both of us can still continue to buy things and we're not stuck, with no access to credit, with no access to bank accounts, with no access to funds. So it's like
Same thing as
little tips and
authorized
tricks.
user and his own credit card, or you mean something completely different? I'm just using
All
this
right.
as an example for people because this is
Yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
is this happens.
Yeah, this happens often. Both of you should have a credit card where you are the primary card holder.
Okay.
You don't have to have the other person as a secondary on that account, but you should
Okay.
have at least one credit card if you use credit. Some people are cash, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But if you use credit, you should have at least one card where each of the spouses or partners have their own credit card, and
Okay.
that protects them.
Okay.
It's always good to have, if you trust the person, access forms online or
Yeah.
filed with the institution to let the institution speak with you. But the more important thing in a timely manner is if something happens, you don't want to not be able to pay for food or pay for the funeral or pay for what you
Yeah.
need to.
Two things that have come that I'm thinking about. One is, let's talk about from the death standpoint. When you are in that, you're if it happens in a sudden form, if it happens suddenly, then you
Mhm.
aren't necessarily in the mindset to be making these decisions, right? So it's
Mhm.
like make it easy on yourself for like in these times of what is it? Suddenly,
Grief.
right? Like if it
Yeah.
suddenly happens in these times, you like make it easy on yourself and have that all laid out. The other thing is that I've talked to, and this has been true in my own personal, is like when we had one financial planner, I was like, listen, because my husband was just like, you take care of all that stuff. I'm like, that's great. And also like I want you to be a partner. But I know a lot of families or marriages that there is one person that typically handles all of the things, all of the accounts, all of the investing, all of the money,
Mhm.
and passwords and all of that. And then the other one is along for the ride, and not from a place of the person doesn't want the other person to know. It's just like they don't really want to be as involved. And I remember saying, like, you have to call our finance, like, if something were to happen, like, here's where everything is, but like, you have to call. And
Mhm.
I think from the person that handles the money, making sure you have your passwords and your, like, all of this information in a place that they can easily, we joke because I'm like, well, our daughter's name is Grayson. I'm like, well, Grayson will be able to show you where it is, but it's like making sure your family knows where is this information, because it's it
Yeah.
happens. Yeah, the more people I talk to, like, there is one primary person that handles the money.
Yep. There's almost always a relationship split and a split of the duties, and it's not saying male or female. It's
Yep.
just easier on a unit.
Yep.
The the conversation that comes up far too often is, well, we were going to work on it later.
Yep.
I don't need to do it right now.
Yep.
Oh, so and so knows where the files are on their computer. But if you're a movie fan and love Zoolander, it's like the files are in the computer. How are you going to find the files if you don't know where they are in the computer? Like for my dad, I know that he could tell me in the physical file cabinet in his office that in second drawer down, the third file back is this file. That is very different than someone telling me, I think the file might be in the office. Go find it.
Yeah.
So him grabbing that file would take 13 seconds. And for me, it takes 4 hours.
Yeah.
And that's specifically what we designed the estate preparation package to eliminate is that scavenger hunt of information that will take countless hours when things are stressful, when some things are time sensitive. We don't want that to happen to other people.
Yeah.
We actually released a product and it's really expensive. It costs $0. It's called the Estate Summary Worksheet. Come to the website. It's in the estate planning grouping. You can download it for free. And it has 3 pages of the most important, critical, foundational information you can have. So, adult one, adult two, their names, maiden names, social security numbers. Then, do you have a will? Do you have more than one trust? Do you have advanced medical directives? Do you have an accountant, lawyer, bank accounts, things like that? Your primary assets, liabilities, and net worth, which is extremely important to figure things out. So, checking account, saving account, certificate of deposit, mutual funds, things of that nature. Your liabilities as well, if you have a house mortgage or vehicle loan, and then your sources of income. And there is so much more that the estate preparation package goes into: family genealogy, former residences, passwords, digital legacy, health, medical records, health history, and literally everything that you could think of. Like for our pet profile, we literally worked with veterinarians on it, which is crazy. Uh, Start here. Like
Yeah.
get the estate summary worksheet. That is the first thing. It should take you literally less than 15 minutes to complete. And then after you do that, use our free guides. Go find an attorney. Call Erin up personally if you have her phone number. Make her help you out. She loves doing stuff like that. Or get the estate preparation package. We'd love to support you and have you support us and tell your friends about it. So
Yeah.
it's
Can we dive into, like, a little bit of, like, we live our life in phases. And so, like, for this single person, or,
yeah.
double income, no kids, or single, no kids, like, just kind of what you have seen, or things that might be missed is the word that comes to mind, that maybe we're not thinking about. Because,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if you are a single person, you are over the age of 18, you should have a will, you should have advanced directives. Not a lot of people do.
And
Um,
advanced directives are basically like, hey, I got hit in the head and I can't make decisions. And,
mhm.
someone makes financial decisions for you. Well, you've already laid that out, but they just follow the paper. And then also medical. So they're making medical decisions for you based on what you've already stated
Yep.
beforehand.
And they mean different things in different places. In
Yeah.
some states, an advance directive is a legal document that is dictated that you have to use a specific form. In other
Okay.
states, it's not. So you can go to the website and learn what they are.
Okay.
But at a bare minimum, you should have a will. And the reason why is if you have a shirt on your back, which most of us have a shirt, um, those assets will have to get detailed, and it just sets things in place where you're on a trajectory as you get older, as you accumulate more things, as many Americans do. You'll have that foundation that you can edit because you don't have to create a new will every year.
Yeah.
You can do something called a codicil where it just gets updated, but they're not expensive if it's a very basic will, if you don't have a complicated estate, and then you let that plan evolve with you. So single person, absolutely you should start. When you get married, absolutely, you should have a review. Some people that we speak with recommend that you should be updating your will every single year, just reviewing your estate plan every year. Some people do it on April 16th. So I did my taxes, now I do this, and I'm good for a year. It's an easy
Okay.
date to remember.
Yeah.
Anytime you have a life event, so somebody dies that you're related to, somebody that's in your will, you get a dog, you get a cat, your kids are born, your kids turn 18, you get married, you get divorced, you get a big promotion, anything like that, you have new accounts, that's when you should be revisiting also. For the dual income no kid, the dinks, or the dual income no kids with cat and dog, the dink with cat dud, I guess maybe. You should also be looking at this because oftentimes you think, wait a minute, my standard trajectory of what goes to who, well, I don't have people that are directly in my lineage. So who do you want your assets to go to then? Typically, the way that's structured is that 100% of your assets goes to surviving spouse, and they have the ability to do everything. And then it goes to siblings and other people if both of you, pass at the same time. But you can get really complicated in how things are set up when you start utilizing trusts.
Yep.
So, Erin, you and I are married again. Congratulations, great marriage. I am on a biking trip this time. I die. You don't like one of my sisters for some reason and decide to cut them out of the will because you control all the assets. That's possible. But we could create a trust where that's not possible for you to do. So you can get as complicated as you want with trusts. There's lots of different types. This is not the time to go into all of them, but we've got a introductory guide, free introductory guide for wills and trusts on the website too. But there are a lot of different variations that trained professional, like an accountant, attorney, the hospice palliative care person when you get older, the doctor. There's a lot of different things that come into play.
What about from a business perspective, business owners?
Ooh, business succession. This is fun.
Yeah.
There is so much to it. So it depends on what type of business you own. Is it a sole member? Is it a corporation? What we say is you have to have the basic information in place, and you're probably going to have a complicated situation in front of you. If you have multiple people that are involved, you should have a buy-sell agreement in place, because if we are married and I have a business partner somewhere else, that business partner is in business with me. He might not want to be in business with you, Erin.
Or your wife. Yeah.
So,
Definitely not. I haven't found many business owners that want to be in business with the wives
right?
or
So,
the
or
spouses, I should say, or the
with
husband,
anybody,
right? Yeah.
with anybody, with the
Yeah.
estate, with the
Yeah.
children, with whoever.
Yep.
So first thing is find all of your agreements, make sure they're in place, your operating agreements, whatnot. You have to have a list of your key customers, key employees, because when you pass away, your employees still have to get paid.
Yeah.
Your customers are still relying on you. So what is that plan? And part of estate planning involves succession planning of when is the right time for me to divest from this business. Some businesses are on autopilot, like they can just keep running,
Yeah.
but eventually it's going to catch up because you still need to pay taxes and everything.
Yeah.
So long story short, business owners, I applaud you for being entrepreneurial. It's important that you get that side of the house organized too. If you need introductions to companies that help with that, we're happy to make introductions.
Okay. I wanted to ask about, and this is more of an emotional or a mindset, but the resistance. I think the resistance comes from like, it's one, we don't want to talk about it. Two, it's you're having to do something you're not used to doing. So just the way that the mind works and wants to. But what do you advise, suggest? Yeah, for people that are like, you already said like, I'll get to it later.
Mhm.
What do you have to say to that?
Start now.
Yeah.
Um,
Something, right? Just take one step. Like, I think what happens is we get so overwhelmed because there's so much stuff, and it's like you can just get on the website today. And like, what tiny step are you going to, make versus I got to do all of this stuff, and this we just get so overwhelmed we just shut down.
this is a real question. Before I started buried in work, I'd hear from friends, so and so passed away, so and so got in a car accident. I cannot go more than a day or two now without having somebody call me up that I haven't heard from in a while saying somebody just had XYZ happen to them. Moms fall and slip their heads, more moms slip and hit their heads.
Yeah.
I've had 43-year-olds with 3 kids that don't wake up. We've had car accidents. Literally a few weeks ago, somebody fell down the stairs and didn't make it. Like, just every
Shit
single day.
happens. Just
Shit
shit just
happens.
happens.
You don't know. You do not want your family to be in that situation figuring things out.
Yep.
You have to start. Get the estate summary worksheet. Again, it doesn't cost you any money. It's
Yeah.
free. It will take you 15 minutes to fill out, and then you'll figure it out from there. Our estate preparation package, again, I can't implore you to buy it enough. It's helpful. It's diligent. In some cases, for many people, it's actually too comprehensive. It weighs 12 pounds, and that's paper that come in a USB drive for all your files. It's big. Nobody's going to fill all of it out because not all of the information that we're asking is going to be applicable to everybody. So how many houses do you have? Some people have 3, some people have 1, some people have none. You may not have many siblings. So it goes through a lot quicker than you think. But get that, read the Getting Started pamphlet that comes with it. It says focus on these sections. And then in your own time, you start completing it. And before you know it, you'll realize I have a will, I have advance directives, my information's in one place, and you'll be good to go. And while you're doing that, you have to make sure that you actually tell your loved ones that you're doing it. You don't have to tell them that you have a will or what's in it. You don't have to tell them that you have a trust in what's in it. You just have to let them know that, hey, I've started a process. Things will be easier on you. If they're the executor of your will, you should ask them because some people don't want to. You can actually say no.
Yeah.
Or the guardianship of your children or, pets if you want to go that far. But if you start the process, go through with it, and people don't know where to look, it's as if those documents in that process never took place. So start it, tell people.
This is similar to money in the sense of people in the way that if you have a negative relationship with money and it's not fun, it's like, how do we make this fun? Like, that's what came through to me. It's like, we have to make,
All right.
like you got to make this fun. You got to make money fun. Like, yeah.
New card. One more story, love and relationship. Erin, who is your celebrity crush?
Denzel Washington.
There you go. Okay. So it's fun. And that's the thing. Like we have on the site, after you take the quiz on how to start the conversation with your parents.
Yeah.
There's literally cut and paste text messages that you can send like, hey, I just took this quiz and I'm really interested in this. Let's talk.
Yeah.
Oftentimes people want to have the conversation. They don't know how to start it.
Yep.
You can very easily get this game, which is fun. Well, let's go for another question here.
It is fun. Is it only on your site? It's just on your site, right?
Right now it's on the site, preparedness.com. Actually, no, there's more places now. Johns Hopkins Hospital, as of today, is going to put it in some bookstores.
Okay.
We're talking to a few other vendors. We're getting it up on Amazon soon, but buy it from the website if you want, buriedinwork.com.
Yeah.
This one is family and traditions. What do you know about your family's ancestry?
My great grandparents came over on the boat from Belgium. They were shoemakers.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I mean, but this is what I'm talking about, right? Like this is I love the cards. I'm going to buy them.
Here's the thing. This is why I brought it up. So it's cool that your family has soul. That's a pun. When your family plays this game, on the back of it, it says Buried in Work in the website on the background.
Yeah.
This goes, hey, mom, actually, I got this from Buried in Work, or hey, dad, or hey, friend, I got this from Buried in Work. It's actually a neat game that helps start conversations about estate planning. And this is why I picked it up. Like the conversations we're having right now where I'm learning about you are really important, but they're focused on some other stuff as well that I'd like to talk to you about.
Yep.
And that's your intro. You have a fun time with the game and you say, okay, it doesn't have to be today. Let's do it tomorrow. You come to our website, you get the checklist of questions to ask, and boom, you're perfect. Or, you're closer to perfect. It's never ever perfect. But that's why we started coming out with this product. Like we want people to have these conversations that aren't always easy.
Yeah, totally. Anything else that I haven't asked or we haven't talked about that you would want to share?
If you don't want to pay for anything, tell your HR department at your company to call me, because we work with HR departments. We work with companies as perks, and maybe they'll buy the estate preparation package for you. Who knows?
I'm like, and if that is you have to ponder why you're not valuing yourself enough to pay. I totally agree with what
it pays
Adam
for itself. It's not expensive.
No.
And like an average estate attorney in America costs $150 to $400 an hour, right? Yeah. You can obviously buy things on spec, on package. But if you fill out all the information and take it to them, you're going to get a better product and they'll be more efficient. So guess what? They're going to bill you less hours. It pays for itself. I sound like an infomercial. you know?
No,
It pays for itself.
it is. I mean, I remember having the conversation. I think Grayson was maybe, we had already had a will and everything, but we did our trust, and she was maybe, it was 2013. So what is that? She was one. And just the, the back and forth. She gave us the pamphlet back and forth, and like asking, who's going to take care of her, and making sure, like,
Mhm,
it's a process, right? And it's
mhm.
also something, and I believe it's like, it's another form of self-love for yourself and your family, right? Like,
Yeah. There's an individual, his name is Jim Adams. He retired from NASA in 2016. He is the former deputy chief technologist in the Office of Chief Technology. So effectively, that means is he was on the team that was responsible for planetary missions, in our solar system, like billions of dollars. Awesome, awesome, awesome stuff. We were talking to him about the estate preparation package, and he said, Adam, you know what? Whether or not you administer someone's estate, somebody is going to administer yours. Leave your heirs the gift of organization. And that is the slogan that's on our website. That is the slogan that is on the side of the box when you order it. Leave your heirs the gift of organization. And you might not be around to thank them for it, but they'll thank you for it.
that I like have full body chills. Like, that's one of the things I set my grandpa. I was my grandpa's financial planner, and so we set him up with this trust, and we funded it correctly, and we did all of
Mhm,
those things. And so then when my dad had to go and be the trustee, and
mhm.
divvy up all the assets, same thing. The
Yeah,
state attorney was like, "This is the not the best, but like, this is a
yeah.
really great, like, who did this?" And it has been
Mhm,
so simple for my dad,
yeah.
and
But
and it is.
fun tip
It's
there. Fun tip there. If you are putting a house into a trust, make sure that you do the final step of transferring the title into the trust. Oftentimes people do everything and forget to actually do the final transfer. So sorry to interrupt.
No, that's what she was referring to, right? Like, I did all the assets. I funded that. I should say that when we talk about funding the trust, it's one thing to draft the trust. What they call it
Yeah.
is funding the trust. Is you physically have to go to the, what's it called? Not the DMV. That was for the vehicles, but whatever I did for the tax assessor's office. I think that's what I did in
Yep.
Texas. And I put all of his properties that he had in the trust. And so then
Yeah.
it was just so simple.
Yeah.
When
Another hack is something called a pour over will.
Yes.
So you create your trust, and then in your will, it says that all of your assets upon your passing immediately transfer into the trust. And a lot of people think that probate is a bad process. It's not, it's just a
Yeah.
process you have to go through. But one of the reasons why people don't like probate is because it's public. You have to file your will with the local jurisdiction, and it shows what assets you're distributing. You can actually see some past wills online that are pretty cool from celebrities.
Yeah.
When you have a trust, it is a private process. Nobody can see past that wall of legalese. So what happens is your assets go through that process, avoids probate, and simplifies things. Fun tip.
Yeah. And not to go down the rabbit hole, but like, here we go back to, you might have to educate. Like, I know when we applied for mortgages, they wanted to see our
Mhm.
entire trust. I'm like, you don't need to see the entire trust. Here's your certificate. Like, so
Yeah,
it's just an educational thing, I think that. And I think
yeah,
that, as more people do it, as more people become aware, then it will change. But not just because a financial institution tells you it cannot be done is not necessarily truth and fact. It just
yep,
might not be. And they might not be educated or aware of it.
yeah. People make mistakes. People don't
Yeah.
know. And another thing that people don't know about is power of attorney. First of all, power of attorney lets you act on somebody else's behalf. It can be revoked at any time. So Erin and I, again, we created power of attorneys for each other. I don't like Erin anymore. I'm going to revoke it. Aha.
Mhm.
There are springing powers of attorney that you only get powers in the event that something happens to me. There's power of attorneys that are limited in scope, so financial or medical only. But what most people don't realize is that power of attorneys immediately cease the moment the grantor of that power passes away. So, whereas if you and I were married or you and I
Yeah.
had power of attorney in that relationship, we could empty out our bank accounts, we could pay bills. But the second one of us passed away, you'd no longer be able to do that for the other person. So when someone passes away, you call up their credit card company and you're like, hey, I want to talk to you about this person's account. They just passed away. They go, oh, I'm really sorry. I can't talk to you anymore. And you're like, I literally talked to you 3 days ago. And they go, nope, you no longer have that legal ability. So you have to understand when your powers start, when they end, if they end, when they don't, and everything else in between.
And all of that information wise is on the website. They can learn
Yep.
and go back. Yeah.
Articles, guides,
Yes.
checklists, you name it.
I do
If you
want to
want to
say
get
one other thing,
educated.
and I know you're not practicing a state attorney, but
Yeah.
thoughts on, because I've had people want to be co-trustees or
Yeah.
so what are your thoughts on that?
Trust the people that you are empowering with your trust. It is one of those situations where everything is unique. You're unique just like everybody else. Your circumstance is unique. You can have secondary trustees as well, backup trustees, so to speak. The reason why I
Or
say like I'm not,
co-executors. It's almost like co-executor or
yeah,
co-trustee. So after you pass away, then now you have two people that are
yeah.
having to make
The-
decisions.
There are a lot of very complicated ways to set up trusts. And when I say set them up, there are dozens of different types of trusts.
Okay.
If you are looking at a trust, you should not be doing it on your own. You should
Okay.
be working with a professional and ask the professional, come to the website. We have a checklist. These are
Yeah.
the questions that you ask when evaluating an estate attorney. One of the things you have to understand is that estate attorney who's going to be helping you with your trust, are they familiar with individuals in your specific situation? Not exactly, but similar to your situation. So I am not going to ask a estate planning attorney that only works with couples that have assets of $3 million or less to create trust structures which involve legal creation of entities
Yeah.
for a high net worth individual with $50 million or more, because
Yeah.
they're going to screw up on the tax implications on it. It is a very special subset of people that can do that.
Okay.
There are times to have multiple executors. There's times when you hire the accountant to audit the accountant to audit the accountant. So you create all those different environments. There are times when you want to create a trust that says that individuals are only going to get access to the funds after a parent passes away, if you don't want that parent to have control over it. But then you have to figure out the assets that are required to keep that trust active, because there's annual filings that have to go on with it. It's
Yeah.
a legal entity.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that you need to have an idea about. And when you walk into your attorney's office, that's what the estate preparation package helps to do, is list out all the people, list out what you want to have happen. And using that formula and that information, they can then in their mental computer go, oh, these are the options that are appropriate for us to discuss and put in place.
Yeah. I love it. Adam, thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Where can people find you? I know we talked about Buried in Work.
Mhm.
Come to the website. Anything else? Or is that mainly where you hang out and
Yeah, it's easy to find me there, buriedinwork.com.
okay.
If you need to get in touch, there's a contact form there. If I don't answer it, somebody else will.
Okay.
If we don't get back to you, submit again and tell us that we didn't get back to you. There's a lot of inbounds that we're getting. A lot of people are working on the project now, which is great. And if we can help you, I'd love to. If there are resources that you're confused with that we don't have, let us know. We want to create them, or at least find somebody who can help you. Our goal is to simplify estate planning and end of life tasks, and we're having a good time doing it.
I love it. Thanks, Adam. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Erin. Appreciate it.
Okay.